If I could outlaw one project management behavior, geez, I think that would be status update meetings. There is nothing that kills me more than watching a room full of people sit down and go around the room and say, hey, here's what I accomplished in the last week. I used to work at a company that would have weekly engineering meetings, and the engineering leadership, the CEO of the company, the COO, and then the entire staff of engineers would go sit in the conference room. It's about 30 people in here. And they would go around the room and say, hey, here's where we're at with each project. I did the math one day and I realized that each meeting, I didn't know exactly everyone's salaries, but I had some rough estimations in there. Each meeting cost that company $80,000. Yeah. Do you know what you can do with $80,000? First of all, you could probably hire another junior engineer for that much and make a much bigger team. But you should be able to put all this information into a project management tool. And then you show up at that meeting and say, hey, these 4 different projects have flagged, hey, we need additional support. We're stuck on something. Let's talk about those 4 and spend 20 minutes talking about it, maybe with a broader group so we can get some different perspectives here. But that meeting should only be 30 minutes, maybe.
Say I just calculated it. If that's a weekly meeting at $80,000, it's $4,160,000 a year that they're spending on that one meeting. And my people that listen to the show will tell you they know me well. I think 99% of meetings are a complete waste of time, especially for development teams, if everybody's doing their job. And that's why with my decentralized A-team method, I preach putting the right people in the right seats on the bus and then letting them do their job. You stay out of the way, leader. You're not supposed to be in the, you're just supposed to be there to give them the wealth of your knowledge and help them through situations. I tell my clients, your number one job for your dev team is to remove roadblocks. You're the hammer.
Yes.
You're the hammer. You go to the marketing guy and say, all right, you wanted these reports done. Your team's not giving my team enough time. Either you schedule the time with them or we're taking it off this sprint. It's that simple. You gotta be the heavy. And having a meeting with 30 people plus like the entire senior management staff for an hour or 2 hours just to discuss status that you could easily find in a project management tool somewhere if you were using one.
Exactly.
It's
exactly
money.
If you're doing it right, you don't need those meetings. What you do need to do is make sure that as a leader, you are there when someone raises their hand and says, I need help, I'm stuck. And that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's when it's hammer time. That's when you go and say, all right, well, I'm going to move these roadblocks out of the way. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this happen so that you can keep operating and driving at this efficient pace together.
I used to tell my team, they'd say, oh, well, the operations department, they're telling me they're too busy to help with this. And I said, yeah, but they made it a top priority. They said that it was a top priority. So tell them it has to get done. I have no leverage over them. I go, sure you do. What's the leverage? They want us to order them 5 laptops for their salespeople. Tell them that's not going to get done. And if they don't have time to meet with you for the project, then you don't have time to order the 5 laptops. I can't say that. Yeah, you can, because I just told you that you can. And who?
Yeah.
And I asked them, who are they going to complain to if they don't like what you said to them? Me. So I'm going to smile and say, yeah, I'm the one who told them to tell you that, because
yes,
they don't understand team. One of the things I think some people don't grasp is just because you're on the IT team doesn't mean that the marketing team isn't a part of your team. You're all working for the company.
Yep.
Doesn't make sense to hold other departments back. I used to get requests like, Mike, this filter isn't needed on this report. Says who? Like, I used to audit the reports. When I'd first put a report out, I'd put little triggers and I'd had a table in the database that'd tell me how many times each feature was used. And I'd say, this feature's been used 1,200 times in the last 2 months. How can you say it's obsolete? And
clearly was using it.
Their department didn't use it. Other departments did. And that's what I'm getting at. People are so siloed. They think of themselves as, I am the marketing department, not I am part of company XYZ. And that's, huge.
At the end of the day, you're all in the same boat together. You need to row that boat together.
And everybody needs, and you can't all be rowing on one side or you just go in circles. That's
exactly spot on.
What smart sheet formula or function do you think deserves its own TED Talk? Like, it's just that good.
Ooh, I would say the join collect formula. It's actually two separate functions work plugged together there. And that one is very underrated in my opinion. It can allow you to pull so much data and then do things with it. Or I guess, let me rephrase that. The collect formula specifically, because you can run max around a collect formula, you can run a min, you can pull distinct values out of it. It just allows you to do so much. I can't think of a single project that I've done that I haven't used the collect formula. But so many people just don't even know it exists. It's one of those that just flies under the radar. If you're not using it and you're a Smartsheet user, you are missing out.
It's something like that taught me to ask questions of developers. Are they familiar with this feature or that feature of their language that they're using? Because at one time I had to do a code review on a fairly new developer to the company. And I hit this part where it's if this, then this, else if this, then this, else if this, then this. And it was like basically testing a variable came in, let's say A, and it has a number from 0 to 9. And he's testing, if it's 0, do this. If it's 1, do this. If it's 2, do this. I said, why? I pointed at it. Why this? Why this massive block of code? And he goes, well, how else am I supposed to do it? And I said to myself, he doesn't know. And I said, so have you never heard of switch case? And he said, what's that? Aha, now I know why you wrote it this way. And you teach them. But it taught me to ask, hey, I got a question for you. Have you ever heard of switch case before? And then if they say yes, then I can say, okay, so then why did you use this approach? And maybe they have, but it's just, I don't know. It's just funny because human beings, we get to a point of knowledge about something where when we have to teach it to somebody else, we're not that good at it because we take so much of the process for granted that by osmosis in our head, we get from step 1 to step 2. But
it's just a natural connection for you, but maybe not for
someone else. Going to be like, I don't understand how you got to step 2 in the first place. You have to ask questions, but that leads me to this. So if a company is still stuck in spreadsheet chaos and they know that it's holding them back, what's the first small step they should take to start fixing it today?
Yeah. First small step is I mentioned this earlier in our call today. First step is to start talking about terminology.
Define the terms. Yeah.
Define the terms, because there are so many times when people are fighting about a problem saying, you guys are doing it all wrong. And then they realize they're not even talking about the same thing. Yes. So I would say that is the very first step. The second step then shortly after that is develop a standard. Make sure you're speaking the same language, but then you're using it the same way. And if you can do those two things, regardless of what platform and regardless of what type of work you're managing, those are going to be the first two foundational steps you absolutely cannot skip.